Take the mic. Thank you all for your kind, for Jacob's kind introduction and your encouragement. First of all, I want to thank that I hope that everyone had a very wonderful Christmas yesterday. And then thank you for all the organizing committees on the 24th for the Christmas Eve. I hope every one of you have enjoyed. Now I want to give a very special thanks again for all the organizing committees and those who has attend for the Christmas Eve event. Give them a round of applause. Thank you. You did a very good job. Yeah, it's fun. We play a lot of games. It's very fun. So let's go back to today's sharing. All of our life, we normally during Christmas we have heard about the three wise men. So like he already says that the three wise men. Normally we will say about the three wise men all of our life for Christmas. But in GSKL, we not only want to talk about men, we also want to talk about women. Amen. So let's see. Who is the three wise men that Jacob says just now? The three wise men is actually during the time of King Herod. It's in Matthew chapter 2, verse 1 to 12. Actually, King Herod asked three wise men. So this one. Next. So the three wise men, this is the normal one that we see during Christmas. So Herod asked the three wise men to look for Jesus. So he says that these three wise men look for Jesus because I want to worship him. Did King Herod want to worship Jesus? No. King Herod wanted to kill Jesus. So these three wise men followed the star. So what's the name of this star again? Yes, the Star of Bethlehem. So they followed the Star of Bethlehem and then they found Jesus bearing gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. But after they met Jesus, in their dream, has been warned that don't go back to Herod. So these three wise men didn't go back to Herod, they went away. So now we want to go back to our topic of today. Wait, again. Wait. This is a little bit slow. Oh, okay. Okay. So before we go into the topic, let us examine what is wise. So the topic today is three wise women. What is wise? Knowledge is what we know, what the experience that we gain. But wise is a derivative of the word wisdom. Means that how we apply what we know. This is what we meant by wise. And then in the Bible, that says that who is the wisest man in the Bible? Anyone know? Yes, King Solomon. King Solomon is the wisest man in the Bible. Why? Because when God asked King Solomon in 2 Chronicles, he says that, ask whatever you want, I will give it to you. And what did King Solomon ask? King Solomon asked for wisdom and knowledge. That's why he became the most wise person in the Bible. And then in the first king, people saw that Solomon has got wisdom by the decisions he made. People saw that King Solomon is wise because he has God's wisdom because of the decisions he's made. Therefore, a wise person will make wise decisions, wise choices. And foolish person will make foolish decisions and foolish choices. So let us see what the three wise women did so that they are called wise. So these three wise women of Christmas, one is married, one is not yet married, one is a widow. So these three persons, one is Elizabeth, one is Mary, one is Anna. We want to talk about Elizabeth before the birth of Jesus, Anna during his pregnancy, during his conceived with Jesus, and Anna after the birth of Jesus, before, during, and after. Just nice, these three wonderful women that is present during Jesus' birth. So the first wise woman we want to talk about is Elizabeth. Let us open your Bible in Luke chapter 1, verse 5 to 7. Maybe I want to ask someone to read this for me. Luke Luke chapter 1, verse 5 to 7. Jacob, can you read this for us?
Mic test.
There was in the days of Herod, the kings of Judea, a certain priest named Zacharias of the course of Abiah, and his wife was of the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. Continue.
Yeah, continue.
And they were both righteous before God, walking in all of the commandments and ordinances of the Lord blameless. And they had no child because that Elizabeth was barren, and they both were now well stricken in years.
Thank you. That's all. So let us see in verse 6. Both of them were righteous in the sight of God, observing all of God's commands and decrees blamelessly. They will come from a family of priests, of Aaron's. Means that they followed everything that God have commanded them. Everything. Nothing can be blamed on them. But you see the next verse, verse 7, starts with a very big B-U-T, but they were childless because Elizabeth is not able to conceive and they were both very old. You see, this is the first mark of wisdom of Elizabeth because she knows that living a godly life does not mean that she will, does not guarantee that she will not have a hurt-free life. God never promised that if we live a godly life, that we will not encounter any trouble in our life. In fact, Jesus says that in this world, you will have trouble. Not maybe, not might, not could, not got chance, but will, because this is the world. So in this world, we will have trouble. So in Luke, we'll continue, Luke chapter 1, verse 8, it says that once Zechariah's division was on duty when he was serving as a priest before God, he was chosen by Lot, according to the custom of the priesthood, to go into the temple to burn incense. And when the time for the burning of incense came, all of the assembled worshippers were praying outside. So at that time, in the temple, there were a few segments. So the innermost segments, the most holy of the holiest, is where the Ark of the Covenant is. Nobody can go inside. Even the priest is only allowed to go inside there once a year. So outside of the Holy of the Holies, there's another segment covered with a veil. It's where people burn incense. So it's a very empty space. It's just one altar of incense there. So when Zechariah go there and burn the incense, and suddenly, then you see verse 11, then an angel of the Lord appeared to him, standing at the right side of the altar of incense. So when you do something, when you raise your head, and suddenly somebody is standing beside you, so what you do? Oh my God, oh pochot. Alamak. So see what the Bible says. When Zechariah saw him, he was startled and cried with fear. Wow, you enter there alone. When you burn your incense, then you raise your head. Somebody was standing on your right side. So he was startled. He was cried with fear. So what the angel told him, do not be afraid, Zechariah. Your prayers has been heard. Your prayers has been heard. You see, this they has been praying their whole life. Since Elizabeth unable to have a baby, they already started to pray. So from the time they start to pray until the Lord says that I have heard your prayers, and then your wish will come true. This is called God's timing. This is God's timing, in God's time. So this in the hurt of Elizabeth chose to trust God. This is her second mark of wisdom. She got every chance and reason to become bitter, kutu. Means that God did not answer her prayers. So when you pray, what mindset do we have? I'm thirsty, God, fetch me water. I'm hungry, God will give you food. Is God your servant or you are the servant of God? Who is the Lord here? So in our inner growth course, we learn how to manage our expectation. But Elizabeth did that 2,000 years ago. Means that this is a true mark of our wisdom and maturity. And then in verse 14 until 17, he will be a joy, a delight to you. Many will rejoice because of his birth. For This is all describing John the Baptist, 14 to 17. And then in verse 18, you see what Zechariah did. Verse 18, Zechariah asked the angel, how can I be sure of this? And then I see an angel appeared. He's a priest. He has been serving God his whole life. But an angel appeared to him and says that I heard your prayers and God promised you a child. And then he questioned God, how can I be sure of this? Sure or not? Usui bo. Yeah, correct or not? Huh? So because of this, yeah, bo. So because of this, he questioned God. The angels took out the remote control and pressed mute. So Zechariah cannot speak until John is born because of this. So when you see in verse 23, when the service is completed, Zechariah returned home, and then after this, Elizabeth became pregnant. For 5 months, she remained in seclusion. This is also a work of a wise woman. You see, when God promised Zechariah a son, what Zechariah did? Zechariah questioned God, are you sure? But when Elizabeth got the son, she knew, even though that God promised this son, she did not go and jump, kesini, kesana, because God has promised this son for me. So she did not question this. She did not test God for this, but she remained in seclusion for 5 months, self-quarantine. So this is a mark of something that is wise, someone who is wise. A wise woman knows how to look after herself. You see, she is wise because she knows how to look after herself. So the next wise woman, oops, this is the Zechariah. This is when he burned the incense, he saw the angels. Then she became pregnant. So the second wise woman we want to talk about is Mary, the mother of Jesus. So thank you, Edmund, just now to read us the verse from Luke chapter 1, verse 26 to 45. So in verse 28, the angel said, greetings, you who are highly favored, the Lord is with you. So is this a good greeting? When an angel comes and says, greetings, you are highly favored, the Lord is with you. This is a good greeting, yes. This is a very good greeting. But in verse 29, he says, Mary was greatly troubled at his word, wondered what kind of greeting this may be. So she is devout in her entire life. She prayed so much in her entire life. But when an angel said this, she felt troubled. Like Isaac suddenly call people, how are you? Then people will get trouble. Yeah. And then imagine this, when you are in home alone and suddenly someone appeared in your house. Is this not scary? This is very scary. I would be scared. You live alone, then suddenly somebody talks to you in your house. You will be like, oh my gosh. I would be scared. So, and then if this is not scary enough, what the angel tell Mary? That you are going to be pregnant. Even though you are a virgin, you are going to be pregnant. So, and then she says that the daddy is going to be God. The baby's dad is going to be God. Imagine what is going through Mary's mind. Yeah, you see, at that time, when people was betrothed to Joseph, a woman is betrothed to a husband, when they reach maturity, they will be betrothed to a man. So after they are betrothed, they will get married within like 1 year or so. So they will prepare everything. They prepare their marriage, their wine, their everything. They a lot of preparation because this is the most important day of a woman. She make a lot of plans. So suddenly, when God says this, all the plans they already planned just threw out the window. So this is very fearful, uncertainty. And then how is she going to be the mother of a Messiah? So this is very fearful. Secondly, how is she going to tell her mom? Hi, mom. I know I'm engaged to Joseph, but I'm pregnant. But the daddy is not Joseph. God is going to be the daddy. So do you think her mom Will we believe her? This is a very difficult situation. And then secondly, how is she going to tell Joseph? Hi, honey, I know I'm engaged with you. Oh, yeah, I'm pregnant. I know you haven't touched me, but I'm pregnant. And then the daddy is God. So how is she going to tell her husband? And then thirdly, how is she going to tell her community? Because she lived in a community. Remember that Jesus saved adulterer from the stone. The people threw stone at her. Jesus comes and says, those who is without sin threw the first stone. So we know that at that time, if a woman is pregnant and then the father is not her husband, what will happen? Well, people will curse her. People will throw stone at her until death. He will be publicly executed. You see, if she took this baby, she will go into a danger of being executed by her community. This is very fearful, fear of death. But you see in verse 38, what does Mary say? I am the Lord's servant, Mary answered. May your word to me be fulfilled. Does this sound very familiar? Does this not sound familiar? Remember that when Jesus, before he was captured to be executed, to be crucified, Jesus prayed. He says that, dear Lord, take away this bitter cup if you can. But if this is your will, may it be done. If this is your will, may it be done. Jesus said the exact thing her mom said, like father, like mother, like son. This gives me a goosebump. Yeah. So if God says that I have a good plan for you, it will be very foolish to say that, no, God, I have better plans. I have better plan than God. God is your creator. God has planned everything good for you. And then when God promised something good for you, and then it will be very foolish to say that, no, God, I have better plans. So this is a mark of wisdom. It's the willingness to submit yourself to the will of God. So when God asks you to do something, ask yourself, your will or God's will? Your will or God's will? She knew that she could trust God. See, in verse 41, in verse 41, when Elizabeth blessed Mary, she sang a song in verse 45. This song that Mary sang contained 10 references to the Old Testament, 10 references to the scriptures. Can anyone write like this? Can anyone sing like this offhand? When they are happy, they sing a song, they immediately come out with 10 references to the Old Testament. Means that she is a very devout person. She knew her scriptures inside out, and then she could sing immediately just like this, quoting 10 verses from the Old Testament. And then the second mark of wisdom of Mary, something is pertaining our inner growth course, is that she took back her right to define herself. You see what her family is going to look at her, what her fiancé is going to look at her, how the community is going to look at her, but she doesn't care all of this. She took back the right to define herself. But by what value he's going to define herself? God's value. Her family may disown her. Her fiancé may cancel the wedding. The community may want to curse and stone her. But when God sent an angel, Gabriel, to tell her, Gabriel means the strength of God. When Elizabeth to tell her that you are highly favored, means that she believed in that. And then she took this as the value that God gave to her to value herself. This is what we can learn from this wise woman. And then because you see, she can deal with her family, she can deal with Joseph, but it's very, very hard to deal with the community. When the community want to kill you, how you are going to convince everyone? It's very, very hard. So she did a very wise thing to do. She went away. She went away to live with Elizabeth for 3 months. So when Elizabeth is pregnant 6 months, she went to see Elizabeth and then stay with her for 3 months. 6 plus 3 is the birth of John the Baptist, until the birth of John the Baptist. So wise person make wise decision and did a wise thing. And then the third wise woman today that we want to talk about is Anna. Anna. So remember last week, Brother Chris shared that when Jesus is born, and then Mary and Joseph took Jesus to the temple to be dedicated to God, like about like that. She bring the baby Jesus to the Lord to be dedicated to God. And then at the temple, she met one creepy old guy. Brother Chris said creepy old guy, Simeon, not Simon, Simeon. Creepy old guy. I'm not creepy old guy. And then God promised this Simeon what? He says that you are going to see this creepy old guy. You are going to see the Messiah born before you die. This is what God promised him. And now on that day, you see, can someone read Luke chapter 2, verse 36 to 38? Luke chapter 2, verse 36 to 38. Where's the mic? Sam, can you read this for us? Can you do us the honor?
Luke chapter 2.
36 to 38.
36 to 38. Hold on. Let me. There was also a prophet Anna, the daughter of Peniel, of the tribe of Asher. She was very old. She had lived with her husband 7 years after her marriage, and then was a widow until she was 84. She never left the temple but worshiped night and day, fasting and praying. Coming up to them at that very moment, she gave thanks to God and spoke about the child to all who were looking forward to the redemptions of Jerusalem.
Thank you, Sam. So from this passage, we know that Anna is an old widow. You see, at that time, women married at a very young age, maybe 12 to 14 or 17 years old. When they are matured enough, they will be married out. So 7 years into her marriage, she was just like maybe 20 plus years old. And then her husband died. From that day on, she had nobody. She don't have a son. She don't have a cousin. She have nobody. But you see, she did a very wise thing. At the passage we see that she lived in the temple, serving other people. Means that she knew, even though she had nobody, she had God. This is a mark of wisdom. She didn't blame God for taking away her husband and not giving her another, maybe second husband, third husband. We read that somebody in the Bible that had 5 husbands or more in the Bible, but she didn't have any of that. She only had one husband, and after her husband died, she had nobody. But she knew, even though she don't have anybody with her, she knew she had God. She had God. God is always with her. She didn't blame God. And then this leads her to the second mark of wisdom. She don't have a purpose in life, but she submit her life to God. You see, in the temple, there is a woman's quarters for people who are serving in the temple. She lived there and continued to serve other people in prayers. She is a prophetess. So she prayed for other people, and then she served in the temple. So in our inner growth class, in our first birth, we question ourselves, what is our purpose of life? For some who don't found their purpose of life, Pastor Joe teaches us that we need to purposely give our life a purpose. And then you see Anna already give her life as a purpose to serve at the temple. So we as a Christian, what we can do? What purpose can we take upon? That is the ministry of Jesus Christ. If you cannot take upon a ministry, then you can make your purpose of life to support Jesus' ministry. Support what other people is doing the ministry. You can make a purpose of your life in that, either in money or in time or in effort, in strength of anything. You can do that. Everyone can do that. Support the roof, support our church, okay? So this is a calling. So like Anna, give her life to serve other people. This is a wise decision. So you see, so the 3 wise women of Christmas. First, Elizabeth is wise because she knew that living for God does not guarantee a hurt-free life. So when she is hurt or got problem, she chose to trust God. Mary is wise because she knows that what that is not possible is possible working with God. You see, possible working with God are not possible to God. Possible to God means that you throw everything to God. God, you do. I don't want. I cannot do this. But this is possible with God means that you need to work with God. And Anna is wise because she knew, even though she had nobody, she had God, and she gave her own life a purpose. So what do we learn from this? What do you do when you are faced with life problems? What would we do when our life does not go according to what we have planned or what we want? This is what we ought to ponder upon. So let's pray. Dear God, we want to choose to be wise. We want to trust you and your plan. When people says no and when things doesn't go well, we want to open our heart and invite you to come in and fill us with wisdom, love, and peace. Oh God, help us to become a wiser person so that this world could benefit from the choices and the decisions that we made as you have called us to become the light and the salt of this world. Amen.